We're not live. Hi, guys. Hey, everyone. How are you guys? Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that you guys are here. So, want to know something that's really fun right now? So I am live producing this show by myself for the first time, and I thought I nailed it. I thought I did everything, and then I realized I actually wasn't live. But luckily, we've got Mike in the background to push the button just to make sure that we are live. So happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully you're doing amazing. You're doing so awesome. Cheers to everyone joining us. Let me know who you are, where you're watching us from, and something you're looking forward to for the rest of the year, or something exciting that you've achieved this week, because I know there's a lot going on. We're all reaching for our Q4 goals and end of year goals and looking ahead into 2021. And so I'm really excited because one of the biggest things that everyone should be doing right now is reviewing their plan, their social media plan, their marketing plan, analyzing what worked in 2020 and figuring out, okay, what is our plan to continue to thrive and be successful in 2021? And so we have a very special guest with us today. But before we get to him, I want to give a big shout out to our show sponsor today, Phyllis Carr. Phyllis, thank you so much for joining us. She's actually the founder of the Social Media Manager School. And you'll realize very quickly why she is our show sponsor today, because it kind of ties into our guest and everything we are going to be talking about. So with that said, I do want to get to our guest today because he is phenomenal. He's amazing. I met him about 3 years ago, I think 3.5 years ago, at my first social media marketing world conference. And he was so brilliant, so amazing. And now he's a member of the Agora Pulse team. And he is here to share some of his biggest tips ever from the Social Media Marketing School. Now, with that said, I'm going to bring him on camera and just geek out about him for a second. This is Eric Fisher, guys. He is the Director of Social Media Education at Agora Pulse. He's amazing. He's incredible. He is the producer and host of the long-running Beyond the To-Do List podcast. So if you guys are struggling with productivity or anything like that, listen to his podcast. I promise you it will change your life and how productive you are. He was the previously for 6 years, the social media manager at Social Media Examiner. And as you know, hosted one of the biggest social media marketing conferences is basically around the world. So that said, oh my God, Eric, welcome to the show. I'm so excited you are here. How are you doing today?
I am awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited you're here. And we've got Sarah. Sarah, you are awesome. So excited you're here. Phyllis, I know Phyllis just had office hours in the Social Media Marketing School Facebook group. So Phyllis, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Brad Friedman in the house, Scott Ayers, who's in Texas. You guys, let us know something that you're looking forward to the rest of the year, or something that you've accomplished over this past week. There's a lot going on. I don't know about you, but Eric and I have been very busy this week. Eric, I think you were on 3 lives. We were on lives together at the beginning of the week for Cyber Monday and Black Friday deals. And I think both of you, between you and I, we've been live just about every single day this week. So it's been crazy.
Yeah, pretty much something along those lines. It's been a hectic week, but it's been a fun week too. So
it has. It really has. And Trisha, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, she says, hey, Mike and Debbie and Agora Pulse family. Trisha, you're amazing. You brighten our day every single time that you pop in here. We're so excited to have you. Sarah is looking forward to a nap. Sarah, I couldn't agree more. I'm looking forward to resting this weekend because I think Eric and everyone is too. It's exhausting. We're ramping up everything. It's the final month of the year, which I can't believe. And Brad, I'm looking forward to 2021 too. Now, with that said, so Eric and I have been working together very closely. So we have the Social Media Manager School, and that is something that we're really proud of, and we offer it. Part of it is free, actually, where you can get over 70 hours of different trainings from social media and marketing experts. And we thought it would be really cool while everyone's getting all their plans and everything set up for 2021, that I talked with Eric because he actually manages this whole thing. He's the director of education, social media education at Agora Pulse. So I was like, Eric, can you pull together some of the biggest, most important tips and strategies from what all the trainings that we have? And he said, yes. So with that, oh my gosh, there's Mike. Mike, you're so awesome. Mike is behind the scenes just in case things go awry because I am producing it all, guys. So Eric, I would love for you to kick things off with your first tip from one of the experts, and that has really inspired you and kind of changed your strategy. And you're just like, wow, like everyone needs to know this.
Yeah, well, this first one is one from Alan Gannett. He wrote a great book and actually was on my show, my podcast 2 years ago or so with that book, but he did the opening keynote for the Social Pulse Summit for LinkedIn edition, I should say, back last quarter. And so his keynote is in there. And I said, well, he had great ideas. I need to go through that again. And one of the things that I loved that he brought up was this idea of how to overcome basically getting out of a creative rut. You know, when we're creating content, whether it's video, text, images, whatever, it can be difficult if you just feel like you're creatively drained or stifled or stuck, especially this year. This year's been kind of a drain in terms of, oh my gosh, how am I going to get my creativity and my creative juices flowing? And so he gives this example of Paul McCartney, and I'm a huge Beatles fan, so this really struck a chord with me. And he basically gave the story of how the song Yesterday came about. Basically, Paul McCartney one day wakes up and he's humming this tune, the tune to Yesterday. And he's going up to different, the Beatles and other people around him. He's like, what is this song? I mean, do you remember what this is? And they're like, no, I've never heard it before. He ultimately realizes that the tune to Yesterday, he woke up with it, and that it basically was something he had created, not somebody else. And yet not the lyrics, though. The lyrics were something separate. So he quickly sat down, writes down gibberish lyrics. And so instead of Yesterday, he's writing scrambled eggs. Oh, my baby, how I love your legs. Da, 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 da. I believe in scrambled eggs. And that's what the song started out as. Now, the lesson here was that the inspiration for that, let's call it, since we're all marketers, we'll use the word content. The way that inception came for that piece of content, which I can't believe I'm calling a Beatles song a piece of content, but
it is.
Sure. The way it came out, though, was this. Paul McCartney and all the Beatles were first and foremost, before they were a band, they were fans. They were so immersed and enamored with the rock and roll, the music. So they were constantly listening to other people's music. And that was because he was consuming other people's content and constantly immersing himself in other people's creativity, it spurred him on. So his brain just naturally, because he was in that zone, created that tune overnight. Now, remember I said the tune came in a dream. The lyrics, he just slapdash wrote down gibberish lyrics, but he then crafted those lyrics. And the way he was able to do that was by hard work and practice of using his creativity day in and day out. So it's this balance between something old and something new, something that you're immersed in and something that you're working on and honing as a skill. And that's what we can do as marketers if we're careful and pick the right sources of, a curated timeline or a Twitter list where you look at only the people that truly inspire you, or an Instagram account where you're following just the right people to kind of get the right inspiration for when you're stuck. And this really hit me as, I've been stuck and I have maybe not curated my sources properly in terms of getting inspired.
I love that. And I love the fact that before they were singers, they were a band. they were fans, which kind of puts things into perspective, right? Think of when you're creating content, and if you get into a rut, what would your fans want? Or when you're, what do you want from your fans? What do they create that inspires you the most? So I love that. I love that so much. We got Rager in the house. Rager, how are you doing? Happy Friday. Happy December, everyone. Oh my gosh. And I think that's an amazing, though, tip, and just the way you explained it and described it, it can help a lot of people, because that creative rut, when it comes to creating content, and if you're a content creator, you're a social media manager, or you're in charge of content, you can feel the pressure every single day almost. And so that is huge to think about that. So Eric, I love that so much. That it's like such a great perspective. So I want to know what your second one is. What is your second epic tip that every marketer and social media manager needs to know to thrive in 2021?
All right. This next one is very much a common sense one, and I'm borrowing it from two different friends who I noticed were saying it over and over again. And this is something we've all heard before, I am sure, but I figured, you know what, closing this year out, thinking about what the next year is going to be like, this has been very much the year of video. It's the ability. I got this, by the way. I got this from Jeff C. and Ian Anderson Gray, and they both were reiterating the power of live video to be a community builder right now. That not only does it build that know, like, and trust factor, but it's truly a way to build an audience without borders. I mean, Ian's in the UK. And I mean, look what we're doing right now. Never before in the history of, television have we had a studio either in our pocket with a phone or people from multiple places all in one place. And I just can't help but think that, again, the power of connection when we can't connect as easily as usual through live video is a huge deal. And so and then they also give a ton of tips about, how to polish your craft and all of that. I mean, we're doing that right now. Jen, I mean, I didn't intend for this. I had no idea that you were going to be learning how to live produce the show yourself today. But that just goes to show that people who have been watching you do this for a year, and Mike Alton be the controlling, I almost said puppet master, but I guess I just did anyway, the control room master, that he is passing that baton to you and you're learning how to do it. And people would say, well, of course she already knows how. No, this is, you learn as you go. You add a skill and then step up, and then you add another skill. And that's the thing for me, is like practicing live video is a huge, let's call that a hurdle for some people to get over. But that's just the thing, is it's a hurdle. You jump over it, then there's another one, and you jump over it. And so I was wondering, like, how do you feel? Did you feel like over the course of this past year, going live for this show weekly or most weekly, it's been something that, even though you were already a television, you've been on television, like legit television before, like even you probably have felt super nervous and anxious about this show, right?
Well, so the thing is, yeah. And so it's interesting. This whole week, I've been pressing, like going live, like doing it all on my own, which is funny. And I think so, and I want to give a shout out to Shannon Loy. Howdy from Richmond, Virginia. Shannon, how are you doing? You're going to be getting some good storms this weekend, by the way. Good storm system. Mitch Jackson is in the house. Yes, consistent and never-ending improvement, right? Yes, this is so true. And so what made it really easy, and especially, going back to, being on TV, I'm not in the control room, right? People are controlling everything for me. What I control is what I say, the questions I have to prep for the guests, do all of that, figure out what news I'm going to say, the trivia questions, but I don't actually have to press the button. But when you actually have to press the buttons, it's a little different. So I'm learning that it's really not that bad, but it can be a little tricky. It's nice having someone do it for you. The biggest thing for me is actually, oh yeah, that's right, I'm pressing the live button. That's what I'm forgetting. I'm like, I could do everything else, but actually pressing the button to go live, I'm like, oh my God, like you guys, I played the intro video. I thought we were live, and we weren't. I totally thought we were live. It was Mike who actually pressed the live button. So it's one of those things, you got to be consistently learning, and you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. Everyone does. Everyone starts from ground zero. Nobody knows. Whenever there's like a new social media tool or anything like that, we're all starting from scratch. Oh my God, Shannon, I love you. Oh, Shannon, you're really nice. Oh, and then there's Sarah. I love working with them too, but it's always been in person with sticky notes. Really hard to have. Oh, yeah. I love the side conversation we're having, guys. We're talking about all sorts of things. But Mitch, I'm so glad you've joined us from California. And I would love really to ask this question before I finish up what we're talking about here, Eric, is ask everyone who's watching, what is the biggest takeaway or thing you've learned in 2020 and what you're going to change and do differently in 2021? I would love to know. Jennifer, it's great to have you in the house. Now, the power of live video, why I love it for community building is what we have right here, Eric, what we created with Social Pulse Weekly. We've got a family. Trisha calls us her Agora family, which I love because we're truly here to help you thrive, help you succeed. That's what we want to do this for. We want to provide you with unique interviews like with you, Eric, and just give you the tools and tips and everything that you need to be as successful as you possibly can be. And so with live video, the way that you can interact with people, interact with your guests, you can't do that anywhere else. Yes, you can do polls, you can have quizzes, but the live factor of it where we see comments and everything else, you can't do that any other way. And Brad said, one would think you've been trained to press the damn button. Brad, you would think that. Only if Brian was watching right now. He's on a plane back to DC. Only if he was watching, and I don't know if anyone really had any idea until I said it, which I'm totally okay with saying, look, like stuff happens and you just know you will make mistakes and it's okay. Everyone does.
That's what I was going to point out is I don't think anybody here, and I think even some of the people here have already said this, like we couldn't tell anything didn't happen according to plan, which is just goes to show that like often, even if a mistake happens during live video, it does not matter because it just doesn't. People are forgiving, but even so, like you learn to roll with it. So
yeah, roll with the punches and just go. And Shannon said really quick on this topic, I just got done doing a live video on my Facebook group. That's awesome, Shannon. It's so powerful. And yes, it is. It truly is. And it's once you actually press the button and just get over any jitters you have in your live, or just like, this is amazing. This is fantastic. So that's why I love live video so much. And Phyllis says, me too. Fridays are good for lives. Yes, they are. Because people they need to relax a little bit. So with that, Eric, number 3. I want to know what tip number 3 is.
All right. So speaking of relaxing, often people, whether they're a solo agency or they're an agency with multiple people, they feel like this hesitancy or uneasiness of teaching their clients what they know because they're afraid, well, if I teach it to them, then they won't need me anymore. And I want to go back to a session that Jay Baer did called 5 Services Social Media Agencies Need to Offer. And what he talks about in there is, among other things, this one key thing that stood out to me, which is you have the unique ability as an agency to approach a client and give them a perspective outside of themselves that they cannot provide themselves in and of themselves. I mean, how many times have we in our past, career posts and jobs been inside of a company that thinks it's one thing, but really we know better that it's something else, right? And so by being able to be on top of that branding and if Jane goes into talking about how effective social is powered by consistent tone and style and asking the tough questions like, what does this brand stand for? And what does this brand sound like? Is the brand serious? Is it smart? Is it funny? Like say we think Wendy's Twitter account, or is it iconic? And not only that, but that one of the biggest downfalls of agencies, not agencies, but of clients and of brands and businesses is when they think they're the hero of the story instead of their client being the hero. And I'm a Star Wars geek. This one's for Mike Alton. I went to Story Brand. Actually, there's a great book called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I went to one of his workshops years ago, 2015, I think. And something he said hit me that walking us through this story brand journey, that Luke Skywalker is the hero, not Obi-Wan. But you need to make your client. So in other words, if you're the business, your clients, your customers are the Luke Skywalkers. You're the Obi-Wan. You are not the Luke Skywalker. They're the hero, not you. The customer is the hero of the brand story, not us. And by being able to be in that branding kind of consulting outside of the business perspective and bring that to them and ask them those tough questions, almost like a business counselor, if you will. You can help them craft things that they cannot do on their own, and they definitely need you to step in and help them do.
And I think you brought up so many good points, because I think when it comes to like agencies or even just marketing teams within their own companies, the stress of meeting the numbers, meeting the goals kind of gets like overweight of like, wait a minute, you need someone from the outside to be like, guys, focus on the customer. That outside perspective is huge, because you can get so bogged down by like, oh my God, the pressure, this, and this, that you're not thinking to your full capability of brainstorming. And that, let's get down to just the nitty gritty, push all the numbers and everything you need to meet aside and focus on the customer. They're the hero of the story. How can you incorporate that, or what are you doing to make the customer the hero? If you're not, what can you change and incorporate? So I love that, Eric, so much. That is so important and such a great big tip. And I want to share a couple comments. Pressing the comment button for the first time. Justin, I love you, Justin Hornback. You're fantastic. Live video is awesome. It is raw and it is real. Mitch Jackson, really quick. Nobody expects perfection. However, people do want their time and attention respected. Very true, Mitch. Adding value takes care of everything, even the little hiccups that are going to happen in every live video. Mitch, I love you. This is why Mitch is such a great person. If you do not know Mitch Jackson, don't follow him. You need to go do that now. He is absolutely amazing and incredible. And Phyllis said, just reading the first 2 chapters of Story Brand will change your marketing. Very, very true. I have not read it yet, but I need to. So Phyllis, I'm taking your advice. Riker says, I am a Star Wars nerd, and I so understand that reference. And Mitch giving you some love, Eric. Love that, Eric. Great point. Who is the customer? How can we shine light on them, even during or especially during a live video interview? This is very, very true. And I love that. Mitch, you're amazing. And with that said, me asking you guys, okay, so what is your biggest takeaway of 2020 and what are you going to do differently in 2021? I want you guys part of the conversation. I want everyone here watching to add their own insights and maybe something they learned. I would love to share for you to share this. There have been so many summits. We've had our free summits this year, but what is one big thing that you learned from a summit this year? And share it in the comments, because I would love to know. Mitch, you're fantastic. I just love Mitch. And with that said, while you guys let us know something that you learned, or maybe something that you're refocusing on for 2021. But let's go to tip number 4, one of the ones that every social media manager needs to know.
Yeah, this one, so it kind of stems off of that last one. And this one I picked up from an amazing speaker. Her name is Jennifer Watson. And she had a story, or she had a talk at the summit. And basically the thing that shone through for me, and I've lived this firsthand, I've experienced this firsthand being part of Agora Pulse, is this ability to empower your employees to tell your brand story. It piggybacks right off what we were just talking about. And one of the great ways to do that, and you walked us through, is using Easy Advocacy, one of the free tools that Agora Pulse has. And I got to tell you, I used to be in higher ed, admissions, and as well as marketing at a university. And with so many different departments wanting to do all their own different things, it was so frustrating to not have some kind of streamlined way to say, here's an amazing, cool new piece of things. And basically, here's something that's social shareable. Here's how we can empower you to do it. And when earlier this year, Easy Advocacy came out, I was like, where has this been all my life? And so and if you want to talk about what Easy Advocacy actually is, go ahead. But I just fell in love with it immediately and was just like, can we do this with everything? Let's use this for everything. So
no, it's amazing. And I'm going to ask a big favor from Mike Alton. If you can share the link to Easy Advocacy in the comments, that would be amazing. And also really quick, Sarah Monroe is asking about the offer for the brand stories, Jay Bear, right?
For the Story Brand book,
Story Brand.
Check out Donald Miller.
Oh, Donald Miller. Donald Miller, guys.
Building a Story Brand is the name of the book.
Okay, it's Donald Miller. Awesome. And so easy advocacy. So the biggest thing is if your employees aren't sharing the content that you're creating on your social media channels and they're not excited about it, do you think your customers are going to be excited or anyone else is going to be excited? So think of that. And that brings a different point of, your employees, your coworkers are a good test pool. Hey, what do you think about this? These two different things. But with that said, easy advocacy is a free tool because we realize the power of our employees and how everyone should be taking advantage of it, no matter how small or nimble a team is. And it's a way where you can just add all the email addresses to this amazing free tool. And it allows you to add the images if you want, and just different versions of the post copy and have them share it out. It makes it so easy that if you open that email, and it emails the entire team, so everyone gets the same email, and all you have to do is open it up and literally share it out on your social channels. It takes less than 60 seconds for anyone to do this. And if you make it a point with your team and you're like, look, we have this big, important campaign, this article or whatever we're pushing on our social channels, I'm going to send an easy advocacy and have like everyone post it out, like all our 60 employees or however many, it can make just a big wave. It can do that much more and skyrocket that much higher. And so easy advocacy is amazing. And so big thanks to Mike right now, who is sharing Building a Brand Story. He's got the link for that, and also easy advocacy as well. He's got that link. So you guys, it's free, 100% free. Try it out and see, because if you're not making your employee advocacy a part of your 2021 plan, you definitely should. And along with that, Eric, I want to say, when I was actually at the Weather Channel, we had graphics department that make our 3D graphics, and so we did lives interviewing our graphics team. And so it was cool because it didn't bring the normal weather geek. It brought designers in, showcasing, and they were asked, okay, so where'd you go to school? How'd you learn how to do this? And so not just necessarily going live with our meteorologists, but also going live with different people behind the scenes, which was kind of really neat. And we realized it brought in a different and new audience. And one of the companies that does this very well is Cisco. Follow the We Are Cisco social channels, and they let their employees take over those social channels, and they literally show you what it's like to work at Cisco. I know now during the current, thing that we're in, it's a little bit more difficult, but they go behind the scenes. They tell you, okay, this is my role at Cisco and this is what I do. So they do a very good job. But try out our easy advocacy tool. It's a game changer, especially with any campaign you're running. You send that out to all your employees and they will get it instantly, and they can share it within 2 seconds. So that is one of the biggest things.
Yeah. I want to throw one other thing on there, and easy advocacy as a tool is a great place to start, especially because it's free. But I want to say that also, going back to the story brand, building that in, one of the great things that I've been thrilled about as being part of Agora Pulse is having these weekly team meetings there that are the whole company, and hearing the values of the company being shared as we share stories of how the values of the company are being lived out, lesson by lesson, and adhering to our values internally. I don't think anybody would care if I say that out loud publicly. In other words, it's the living out of the culture and the striving forward of the culture that also reinforces the wanting to share about what's going on with the company or initiatives, that then makes easy advocacy as an email coming to me be like, I'm ready. Yeah, great. Thank you. I'll share this immediately, just because you're building in and reinforcing that culture.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And if you don't have, if your company values aren't outlined somewhere, ask your boss. Or if you're the owner of the business or the company, think about it. Oh, do we have our values written out anywhere? How do we make sure that we are valuing our employees and that we appreciate them? Because the more you appreciate your employees, the more they're likely to feel a part of the team, a family, and share out that content or anything you need, and care actually even more about the company goals. So I love that. Trisha, I'm glad. Thank goodness for Twitter, Periscope. I'm so glad you're still able to watch us. And I'm sorry Facebook kicked you out. Hopefully you can work that out. And Mitch, I want to share this. Mitch, this is awesome. This is Mitch's 2021 insight. Create multiple income streams while building your personal brand. gold. 2020 was a big eye opener for many of our clients. Many had all their eggs in one basket that was flipped upside down through no fault of their own. We all need to learn from this and position ourselves for new, unexpected future events. Just my 2 cents worth. And that's like gold. That's like $1 million worth, Mitch. And I couldn't agree more. Mitch also says, and keep in mind, HR values are changing with remote workers, whole different set of circumstances. Very, very true. Couldn't agree more with that, Mitch. And so that's something to keep in mind. And also just the mental state of your employees, because it's hard. I mean, it's been hard for me. I'm an extrovert. I love meeting with people in person. And I'm a remote worker always anyway with Agorapulse, but even not being able to go out in public really and hang out with people has been that much more, pressure on. So I love all of that. So keep that in mind, but easy advocacy, make sure that you're taking care of your employees and also that you're utilizing the power within your company and your brand to emphasize and just bring more power to your different campaigns that you have. And so Phyllis says really quick, social media managers might have some time for learning through the end of December. Any tips for them? Ooh, this is good. Well, we'll have you. Yes. If you have time for learning, we have an opportunity for you. So Eric, I'm going to have you talk about this really quick. And I want to hear tip number 5.
Yeah. Well, let me start by saying that my suggestion would be that if you have time on your hands right now, this is a perfect time to jump into the Social Media Manager School. We've got something called Free Access, which is absolutely free, contains all of the summit sessions from past summits that Social Pulse summits have put on through Agorapulse. And this is where I'm pulling all of these tips from. And so you can go through and say, okay, I want social strategy or content creation or, any other type of category, and then see what we've got in there. And then just jump into one with an expert, whether it's, again, that Bear session that's about 45, 50 minutes. It'll tell you right away before you jump in how long it is. And so that's a great way to pick and choose and jump into some specific training right away, right now, in these next couple of weeks. Get your game on before 2021 hits.
No, I love that. And so true. And so Social Media Manager School, it's one of those things, if you're thinking even about, okay, maybe I don't have a degree in social media, but I think I want to start doing this as my main role. Maybe you've dabbled in it a little bit in other roles that you've had. This is a great way to get the experience, the knowledge you need for free. You don't necessarily have a degree in it. My degree is in meteorology, guys. It's in geosciences, but I've taught myself along the way. I've been thrown to the fire. I worked for a big brand. And so, you can learn this. And so go to Social Media Manager School. I've got the scroll. Thanks to Mike, he created it for me. So we've got it right there. That's the link. We're making it go across. So you can just go there and it will just give you all the information you need. Now, Eric, tip number 5.
Tip number 5.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for this one. Yes.
Okay. So this next one, it doesn't necessarily relate specifically to LinkedIn, although it was part of the LinkedIn Summit. This is from our friend who we love, Jessica Phillips. Her session was talking about getting past the gatekeepers on LinkedIn and connecting with people relationally, because that's what's going to, instead of being spammy and sending, those LinkedIn messages where it's like, hey, I think you're awesome, want to hire me? That just, in other words, as we know, Jessica Phillips is all about, and she exemplifies this to a T with the Now Marketing Group, that relationships are always more powerful than marketing. And then she goes on to talk about dark social media, the private DMs and the people referring you to other people in the private section of social media, not the public section of social media. And that's something we don't really think about or focus on enough, I don't think, in our marketing, is being relational and being marketable and referable. Although all that we've talked about up till this point has kind of, rolled into this a bit. But yeah, when I'm looking for something, I either do some self-searching myself, Googling, but I also, ask my friends and see who's had a great experience with something. And then that's what I'll check out next.
I think that's like the smartest advice ever. And you guys, if you don't know Jessica Phillips, she is like always, she's the greatest thought leader, I think, one of them that I know, because she's always like, you know what, I'm going to talk about dark social 2 years ago, and like now everyone's talking about dark social. Like, she is just, she knows the themes, she knows what's going to be trendy before it's trendy, and she really knows deep down how to market in such an amazing way that you're building relationships and fans and super fans. So I love that, and that's so true, because LinkedIn, it's amazing how many messages, DMs, automatic DMs I get, and I never look at them, and it makes me never look at DMs at all on LinkedIn, really, because I'm just like, it's just an automated message. They don't really care. So that's such a good point. And really quick, we've got Shannon says the sales messages on LinkedIn are overwhelming. Yes, they definitely are. She says, yes, yes, yes to relationships. This is so true. You want to care. And it's that personalized touch, right? If I just don't want to feel like a robot's talking to me or whatever, I want to know that the person on the other end genuinely cares about my wants and my needs and cares about me. And we've got Mitch really quick. And it is hard, tough times. Employers, employees, customers, and clients all need to remember this. We're in this together. Love you guys. Got to bounce for a Zoom meditation. That sounds amazing. But have a good weekend. You too, Mitch. Thank you so much for stopping in. But I love that. And I couldn't agree with it more. There are ways to make, like with chatbots, messenger bots, make it a unique experience. And Kelly Noble Mirabella is fantastic at that. But, getting past the gatekeeper and all that, it takes talent, and you don't want to, be one of the contributors of the automatic DMs, especially when it comes to LinkedIn, because it's just not personable, people feel like it's spam.
I'm a nice guy, and I got in a fight with a guy because he kept sending me, like, over the course of 3 months, he just would shoot another pitch through there because I accepted the first one under false premises, apparently. And then he finally lays into me and he's like, well, I guess I see that you're not somebody who does social right because you're not willing to like actually interact with me. And I wrote back and I'm like, every single message you've sent me has been a pitch. Who's not doing social right? So
exactly,
sorry,
exactly. I couldn't agree more. And Trisha said, I've only been sending voice messages on LinkedIn. Responses have been phenomenal. Yes, voice messages.
That's awesome.
That's a great tip and is so powerful because when they actually can hear your voice, and it sounds more genuine anyway when it's just a voice message rather than reading it. So I love that. Trisha, that is a phenomenal tip. Keep doing that. Sarah says she's now getting spammed by the affiliate ambassador requests on Instagram that require buying hundreds of dollars of products. Sarah, me too. Oh my gosh, like nonstop. It's so crazy. So I definitely agree with that frustration. But yes, that is a fantastic tip by Trisha. The voice messages on LinkedIn, incredibly, incredibly powerful. With that said, Eric, what is tip number 6 that everyone needs to know?
Tip number 6 is actually one of many tips that our own social media scientist, Scott Ayers, shared in his session, LinkedIn Marketing LinkedIn Marketing Myths Busted with Science. And so this one kind of floored me. And I'm gonna give you a little quick quiz. I know we're gonna do trivia later, but this is a quick little quiz. So I want you and everybody that's watching to take a guess at what type of post gets the most views on LinkedIn. And Scott did the research, and so I've got numbers to back this up, his numbers. But what type of post gets the most views on LinkedIn? I'll give you the 3 choices: link posts, photo posts, or text posts.
So you guys, I know the answer to this, so I'm not going to say it, but it is, I'm going to give it away. It's not what you expected, what it is.
Yeah. It's surprising. The reasoning behind it is what then reinforces as to, oh yeah, no, I guess that does make sense. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then what you can do with that answer is pretty interesting. So actually Jennifer Ressman, she says video, Michelle does as well. And we didn't make that one of the options here. I think that I know where that would lay in the responses. But
great guesses, though, guys. Great guesses. Brad said text. Brad Friedman said text. What do you think about that? And Michelle says, oops, not a choice. She said text too. Good job. Yeah.
So I will go ahead and I'll just cut to the chase and say, it doesn't have to be a question, but it is text posts.
Yeah.
But I think I think what you're gonna be surprised by is the numbers on this. So first and foremost, links, which a lot of people, most people, that's what they're posting day in and day out. That got about 5,795 views.
Wow.
So just shy of 6,000. Photos did a little bit better with 5,998. So about 200 more views. But here's the clincher. Text got 68,975. So a little over 1,000% more views, 10 times the views that text over photos or links. And when you start to dig in and think about why, and Scott explained some of this, and I had some other thoughts on top of that, is that basically text posts can, and I think I forget who it was here that said it. Shannon, she said, a post that is simply a question. Asking questions or making a quick little statement is something that kind of hooks people into feeling like they have to respond. But here's something else. You guys ever go to LinkedIn and then get this notification that, hey, this post is kind of going viral. Some of your friends have commented on this. It's because of that, I think, that also text posts are being served up as those type of posts. I see fewer link posts there. I often see Chris Brogan posts where he's like, I think this or I think that. What do you think? And it's a catalyst for conversation.
Yes. And the thing is, when Scott did this test, I was not expecting that to be like, no. I was not expecting it at all. It really shocked me. And even I've seen people on Instagram that longer posts, a written post on Instagram can perform better than the shorter posts, or at least I've had a couple friends in the field. They've seen that. You would have to test that out yourself and see what works best for you. But yeah, so which is interesting. So it is powerful. Sarah says, yes, as Scott would say, it is science. I don't know if Scott's watching right now, but hopefully he is. Jennifer says, so fun. Finally, something other than video. Yes, I couldn't agree more. Everyone says video is king, right? We've been saying that for years, like since 2016, 2015, and then live video is king. All of that is so powerful, but I think a healthy mix, Eric, too. Yes, you know, live video is powerful. I love live video and video, but you can be very creative and get a lot of engagement through text, through questions, just through sharing an experience, because it allows people to relate to you. It sparks emotion even. One of the best things that you can do in any of your content is spark some kind of emotion, right? And get people to feel a certain way and makes it more memorable, right? If people don't like Cheerios commercials, guys, it just, you can't, I mean, some of them just like the tears are about to flow really hard in a 30-second Cheerios commercial because it gives you all the feels. So, kind of think about that. But I love that, Eric. All those points are so true.
Well, and even if you think about what the other types of content are doing, and Scott gives this example specifically, is that with link posts, sure, somebody might see it, think it's interesting. There is text in that post most often, but also a link, and you click through, and then they look at what the content is through the, they jump through the window, they look and see what's inside, and they're like, oh yeah, cool article. And then they close it out, come back, and then start scrolling again. Or if you're lucky, they'll like it, or the unique, I forget what the different ones are, but LinkedIn has unique ones, which I actually really appreciate. The celebrate, the the thinky one. I do that one all the time. But that's about all you're going to get. And so I think that if you're not sending them off your post somewhere else, but keeping them on your post and thinking about it and interacting with it and interacting with others on your post and starting dialogue right there in a mini chat room right on your post, that's the best of both worlds.
It so is. And LinkedIn wants to keep you on LinkedIn, right? It doesn't want you to go somewhere else. And even clicking through, even as simple as it can be to click through to a blog or something else, that extra click, sometimes people are just like, I don't have time, whatever. But if they see text, they'll read it and just be like, whoa. And if it's really powerful, they'll be, feel like they need to love, respond, all of that. So true. I love Mike. Mike's like, writing for the win. Yes, so yes. True. And a great great tip from Phyllis. Always be testing. Yes. All because things change, your consumers change, your fans change, the world changes and what they need changes. So always be testing. Amy Aram, how are you doing? I'm so excited you're here. I'm looking forward to tips. Oh my gosh. And we are at our last one, Amy, which I'm so excited you're here for. And you can watch the replay too, because we've had some very good information. But, and really quick, actually, we're going to get to Sarah. Interestingly, I noticed my Facebook memories are showing me how many text posts I used to make more than 10 years ago that had a lot of engagement. Changes in social media trends certainly keep us on our toes. Sarah, I love looking at the history too, the memories, because you do get to see what you used to post and you can gradually see the trends of, how things have changed. So I love that. But with that said, Eric, I'm going to give you the floor because I'm excited for your last, the final tip, guys, that every marketer, social media manager needs to know going into 2021.
So that was actually the last one, but let's see if we can think of what. Yeah, I was going to say, but we can think of another one if you want to.
Oh my gosh.
Or we can ask the audience here, since I think that's the other piece, is that connecting with other people and asking them what they've learned most recently. I was talking with, I think it was Christine Gritman, and we were talking about, we don't go to conferences for the sessions, we go for the people, because the people are the ones who are going to know your scenario, your situation, and know what it is you need to learn right then and there, and know what the best source will be for you to learn that, whether that's YouTube, whether that's, hey, you got to check out this podcast. They're talking about the thing you need to learn right now. So I guess that's my other tip, is just community sourcing your learning.
Yeah, no, and that's true. That's such a great tip, such a good tip. And Justin Hornback said, this is good too. I need to get back into blogging in 2021. You are making Mike behind the scenes, Justin, celebrate. I can only imagine Mike's like popping open champagne and he's just like, yes, writing, blogging 2021, because people have a lot to say. They've been through a lot this year, or at least updating my website with the podcast stuff. Yes, yes, yes. And call me a slacker. It's bad, but that's okay. Everyone has their moments. And Justin, I'm glad you brought up the point about slacking, because also Eric has his productivity podcast. And so Eric is one of those people that he knows all the tips and tricks to make sure that you're more productive. And I think sometimes we can all struggle with overwhelm or so many things to do or time management. And one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, Eric, is blocking off my calendar for myself to make sure I have those 2 hours so I can really dive in, because sometimes I get so into something and I'm just really like, oh my God, feeling it. And I have another meeting or something. And so I block off that time. So I make sure if I need to get that task done, I get it done. Always, which sometimes this is hard for me, getting the toughest task done first thing in the morning, because then everything gets that much easier. Sometimes when you wake up, you're like groggy and you're like, well, I'll start easy and then go into it too. So it's kind of like a balance. But I would love to know from you, Eric, because you've done this podcast for how many years?
Since 2012, we're almost we're in the midst of the 9th year of the show. Yes.
So how many episodes do you have?
300, almost 360.
Getting to over 360, that's a lot of podcasts. That's like a lot of time. So can you give us, just for those that may be struggling right now or maybe with overwhelm, like what helps you, Eric, with just mapping out your week? Do you do it on a Sunday night? Do you, like, first thing in the morning, you're like, okay, this is my plan. Do you check things at night and then plan out for the next day? What do you do? And what are some of your different methods? Because I think it's the Pomodoro method. I could be totally saying that wrong, where it's like 20 minutes on and like 5 minutes off, something like that. But Eric, what are some of biggest tips?
Yeah, well, let's speak to that. The Pomodoro method, which is the Italian word for tomato, and it's just this little tomato timer, and essentially it's just so that you can stick with a specific task over and over and over again. So what it is you basically do 20 minutes of work on a task, and then you take like a 5-minute break and then come right back to the task again, do another 20 minutes. You do a sequence of 3 of those 20 minutes interspersed with 5-minute breaks in between. And if you can get a full 20 minutes done with 5-minute breaks in between, then you get to have like a 20-minute break. And that's the way that basically you're keeping your brain distracted enough to not get overly distracted, but focused enough to stay on the same task through that entire time. And, if you can do 2 or 3 of those sessions in a day, you're going to really move the needle.
I love that. No, that's so true. And I love that you know exactly what that is. By the way, everyone is congratulating you on your over 360 episodes,
Yeah.
Because that's fantastic. And to our time management, Phil says time management is key to everything. Been saying that since 2012. Yes, Phil, this is so true. Even like as a mom, like planning things out, getting everything done, and focus. That's one other thing that I think I struggle with. Gail says palms are literally the best. Okay, you guys, I haven't actually really tried it, so maybe I need to. And I want to know, what productivity tips do you guys have or use, and also what focus tips you have, because I think focus is a big thing. There's a lot going on in the world, and to like push all of that out and focus in on what you're doing, that's something like, Eric, when I'm doing these lives, right, I don't think of anything else, my to-do list or what's going on in the world. I focus in on the content and my goal and what I have to do for the next hour. That's how I get to do that. I'm really good at that for live video, but sometimes it can be a struggle when, it's not live video. What tips do you have for that, Eric?
I would say, what if you used live video to hone in on doing that task? Sometimes doing a Zoom room where people check in and they're all, think of it this way. Think of the metaphor of you're in an open office space, and instead of a big conference table where people can come up and sit and stand and whatever, and occasionally, you get 20 minutes and you say, hey, did you see that thing? Yeah, that was funny. I'll send it to you. And okay, cool. And then you just get back to work. Like, what if you had a Zoom room where people could jump in and out, and you've got trusted people there? They're the only ones that have the link to it. They jump in and do that throughout the day. So you feel like you're getting intermittent connection with people. You're not isolated at your home by yourself the whole time. But at the same time, you're sitting there working, and everybody knows, like, it's virtual co-working. And
I love that.
I've done this with a couple of friends of mine that are here local. We can't go see each other very easily, but we can like sit and have Zoom open. So we all know, like, oh, okay, yeah, somebody's sitting here with me working and watching me. So I can get stuff done too, just like that.
That's so smart. And you know what? I do that with Brian sometimes. When he's in DC, I do that. And it's actually great because I forget how much I love bouncing ideas off of each other. So we help each other, and it's super fun. So I love that. Gail says virtual co-working is life. Yes. And I'm so glad that Keith Roden is in the house. Keith, woohoo! Massive amounts of coffee is very motivating and helps me with focus. I love that, Keith. I love that so much. One thing is, I wish I could be a coffee drinker. I can't, because I've got a little heart issue. So like caffeine, like I wish I could drink caffeine, guys, so much. Sometimes I have like a couple sips of decaf in the morning and that's it. But I love that so much. Phyllis, this is very clever. Does 25 working, 5 minutes chat, 25 working, 5 minutes chat.
Yep.
That's fantastic. I love that too. And Sarah says, if I am struggling to focus on something, I change where I'm working. Ooh, lately that means going to my kitchen table, but the change of pace helps get me into a task. I so love that. And you guys, I forgot to mention, one of the things that I love doing is going for a walk, just getting outside, getting some sunshine. Even if it's freezing outside, the cold wakes you up. You're just like, holy crap. And you're just like, it's freezing outside. If you live in a cold place right now, it's winter in the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, so I love going out and going for a walk. That's one of the biggest things that I do. Brad says, I meet with a friend for 60 to 90 minutes 3 times a week to work together. We tell each other what we are going to do and hold each other accountable. Ooh, I love that. That is so good. Brianna, oh my God, I'm so glad Brianna's in the house. Brianna, share your productivity tips, apps, all the things, you guys. Brianna is a master of all things amazing and awesome. Brianna, I want to know. And then Sarah says, I have open Zoom meetings with a work team. I haven't thought of it for other social media peeps, but I love this idea. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea with the live Zoom. I think that's fantastic. And while I'm waiting on Brianna to give me her tips, oh, really, one more. Okay. Phyllis, this is so awesome. Oh, we've got all the things. Gosh, you guys are amazing right now. Brianna, I go and grab coffee from somewhere for a change of pace and to get my mind right. I love that, Brianna. That's so smart. Phyllis says, one of my favorite things to do is join an online co-working live streaming with ProBlogger. I'm so productive when I do this. Ooh, I love that, Phyllis. By the way, Phyllis is fantastic. She is our show sponsor, guys, and she is just I love her. She's amazing. Michelle says, I go meditate with Insight Timer. Ooh, and set an alarm in case I relax and fall asleep. I do that too. It's like an etch-a-sketch for my brain.
Oh, I love
Ooh,
that metaphor.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? Setting alarms on your phone for different things, different tasks. I also got the cubes that Amy Landino set, and I forget the specific timers, but it got like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, which are really cool too. Because it's amazing if like you only have 5 minutes before a meeting, but what you can get done in that time. So yes, this is fantastic. Really quick though, we're having an amazing conversation. Let's geek out on a little news. And
Yeah.
Eric, I'm going to talk about Instagram Live, Eric, and we're going to talk about this together.
We
Instagram
did
Live
this earlier. We Instagram lived this week.
We did Instagram Live this week, and it was awesome. You guys, I love Instagram Live, and unfortunately, it doesn't allow for third-party platforms for us to go live through that. But we did, and it was fun. But in India, they've made it so they can have up to 3 guests now for Instagram Live, which it's only in India, and I believe actually they're launching it, making it available in Indonesia, I believe as well, but they're doing a lot of the testing and how consumers utilize it, their features in India. And then whatever works there, they roll out to everyone else. So you guys, this is intriguing. And I think the future of what we have to look forward to when it comes to Instagram is that more and more people will be able to join. So I love that. I think it's interesting.
I was kind of down on this when I saw, oh, it's only in India, but I was like, well, they're testing it. They'll bring it out. Honestly, I think that the limitation of having just 2 people on Instagram Live is, if that goes away, I think that it's going to take off even more so than it's ever been used. It's pretty amazing right now. I had so much fun doing it the other day with you that it was like, I want to do more of this. So having to be able to add in another person or 2 would be great.
Yes. Oh my God. I couldn't agree more. So I love it when, you know, they say they're testing things, you're just like, ooh, we get a little taste of what the future might hold. And really quick, we've got some good comments here. Keith says we reach about 500 to 800,000 every 3 or 4 weeks organically on our organic based social news outlet. Got away from podcasting. Eric, do you have any training packages available? Ooh, that's a great question.
As far as podcasting goes?
Yeah. Or maybe social media manager school.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Keith, give us clarification.
There are some sessions on podcasting in there now. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So we do have sessions in Social Media Manager School for podcasting, and it's free. You guys get over 70 hours of training for free. And then there's also a paid side as well, which we can get into at the end. And Sarah says, Friday afternoons are for planning, helps me turn off my work brain on Saturday, knowing that I'm organized for the week and helps me relax. Sarah, that's a good tip. That's a really good tip. I love that tip, actually.
Deb, our Deb here, she got me into that. It's like, hey, if you collect all the data for your report that you've got to do Monday morning, Friday afternoon, your Monday morning is so much easier. And I'm like, thank you, Deb. That's really awesome. I need that weight lifted off me. Thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys. You got to love Deb. Deb Mitchell is our community manager. So, and she is fantastic and absolutely amazing. We have a really quick question before we get to 2 more news questions. Trisha says feedback on everyone's use of Twitter Fleet so far. I've been using it just a little bit. What about you, Eric?
I use it a little bit, but I realize I haven't been using it much recently because it's only in the mobile app. And that's a limitation that unfortunately, like I'm trying not to use as much social on my phone these days, so I'm not using my phone constantly. So
and you know what, Trisha, we had a special live here with Matt Navarra, and he was talking about Twitter Fleets too. That was one of the biggest things that we're talking about. And also stories, everyone sharing the same over multiple platforms. There is some power in Twitter Fleets. And so I would say if you try it, definitely do it, see what happens. I think we're on the testing phase and no one really knows because yes, it's very similar to everything else, but you don't know the impact it could have on your channels. So I would test out different content and see maybe if something really sparks attention with your followers. And if it does, continue doing that. Just like Phyllis says, always keep testing. Justin says, I haven't used a single fleet when I tweet. I love this. Phyllis likes fleets. She says it feels easier for me to do fleets than IG stories. And I agree.
I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It definitely does. I feel like when I do IG stories, it feels just a little bit more cumbersome. But yeah, I definitely agree on that. And we're going to go to our second piece of news is TikTok is looking to expand its video length to 3 minutes. So before it was originally 15 seconds, and then they allowed you to tie 4 15-second clips together to 60 seconds, right? You could do 1 minute. Now they're thinking of expanding it to 3 minutes. So if you haven't, this is just my tip for everyone. TikTok is not going away. It is just going to continue to grow. But what I love about the 3 minutes, Eric, is the fact that for brands and companies who are just like still not sure how they can incorporate it into their strategy, 3 minutes is a lot more time to teach people things, right? To go do a mini training, or do some kind of types of content that you couldn't fit into 60 seconds. So 3 minutes is actually huge. So
Yeah.
I kind of like it. They're testing it, or they're thinking about it. So and some people are getting that option. The beta testers are getting that option. So it's not for everyone at all right now, but it's getting beta tested. So
I could see that being helpful to like zoom through how to do a hardware project or cleaning certain type of a stain or this kind of a recipe, like, the kind of tasty type, zoom quick, fast paced videos. I
yeah,
could see, if you've got 3 minutes to work with, although you could do those in a minute, but having 3 minutes, being able to do, phase 1, 2, and 3 with each minute, that's pretty cool. And it as an old fogey like me,
you're not.
who's 42, TikTok jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing sometimes just makes my brain hurt. But to be able to maybe have more from somebody that's like up to 3 minutes, I think that's going to be a little more at ease, or a little slower paced, maybe some of us people who don't use it that much. So
Yeah, and you know what those things, one of the tips actually they tell people is if you make it so fast paced your video, it means people, if they're really interested, are going to have to rewatch your video like,
yeah,
2, 3, or 4 times, and you get more video views. So people tell you to go fast. But like you said, Eric, sometimes I'm like, okay, guys, slow down just a minute. Like we don't need to go that fast. So there
if I
is,
don't understand, if I don't understand what I just saw, then why would I rewind it? It's like I don't
that's
get it.
true. That's
Skip,
very, very
skip,
true.
skip, like you do with stories sometimes, tapping and swiping.
Yeah, no, that's so true. So you guys, TikTok is always going to
Balance.
continue to innovate. If you don't have your name, if you don't have your handle, just get it on TikTok, start observing, just keep an eye out on it and see what potentially you could do for 2021. Last but not least, Spotify. So this is just kind of fun. What they always do, they launch their 2020 Wrapped with their new features, including quizzes, badges, and yes, stories. So this is kind of what they do every year, but they're kind of doing some things a little bit differently. So Wrapped will be exclusively available on mobile for Spotify users, while the web experience will offer a version of Wrapped for non-Spotify users for the first time. And to reflect on their continuing investment in podcasts, Wrapped will also this year include a deeper look into users' podcast listening habits. There, Eric, podcaster.
Yeah.
And it will include new features like in-app quizzes, a story of your 2020, which I think is clever because everyone's 2020 has been very different from any other year, dedicated to users' top song of the year, new Wrapped badges, personalized playlists, customization options for social sharing, and other additions. Eric, how do you feel about this, and have you used it in the past?
This is pretty cool. I will say I got tagged in a story on somebody's Instagram story because my podcast was one of the things they top listened to on Spotify. So I was actually kind of thrilled. But like, I'm not much of a Spotify user. I've got my music in my Apple Music and my iTunes and all of that. But, I am definitely think that having this viral sharing component to Spotify, I mean, I saw them over and over and over again. It's all I saw like earlier this week when people were sharing. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. You listen to music. But, it's funny. But I think that I think it was exciting and thrilling for people to be doing that. And I wish more apps had that kind of, capability. Like if YouTube, like what are your top channels you subscribe to? That'd be a great function. YouTube, add that in,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Which channels did you watch most this year? That would be a great thing for YouTube to have.
Yes, I couldn't, you nailed it on the head, Eric. It definitely would. And I think other networks and different apps will probably be looking at what Spotify is doing and be like, maybe we could whip something out quick, or we need to consider that for the future in 2021. And I have to say this really quick. It's after 3:00. And so one of the things that Mike Alton is really going to appreciate when he's not producer anymore, because he's just behind the scenes right now. I can't even see his face. But he's just making sure everything's running smoothly. But when I go over an hour, he doesn't have to worry about it. He's like, because I know he's got a meeting at 3:30 in 25 minutes. He's like, Jen, time's ticking. We got to go. So I love you, Mike. I'm so sorry, but we're going to get to our trivia really quick, guys, because I'm excited for this. And let me get to our trivia. Let's see if I can do this, guys. Are you guys excited for this? Let's see if I can pull up the trivia questions. Let's see. I got it. Okay, guys, this is trivia. So we give away every week. For those of you that are new to this, every single week we give away a mug or an Agora Pulse hat to whoever gets these 2 trivia questions correct. Now, when you answer these questions, this is the first one, answer 1-A, B, C, or D, or 2-A, B, C, or D. Now, these are tailored on Instagram. This is based from data on Omnicore. And what percentage of US teens say Instagram is the best way for brands to reach them about new products or promotions? Is it A, 57%, B, 67%, C, 73%, or D, 79%? And actually, I misspoke. It's a mug or a t-shirt. Win a mug or a t-shirt, not a hat, a mug or a t-shirt. So yes, what percentage of US teens say Instagram is the best way for brands to reach them about new products or promotion? What do you feel about this, Eric? You don't have to give away the answer, but how do you feel about this? And I think one of the things is I tend to give away the answer. I don't mean to. So people.
I don't know the answer. So, I think that Instagram is definitely more of a teen platform than I think Facebook, Twitter, and some of the others. I think TikTok would be, if it was TikTok, I would go with like 79%. Since it's not, I'd probably go a little lower to like B or C, I think. So
that's some solid advice.
That's where my guess lies.
I was kind of surprised. I don't know why I was surprised by it, but I was impressed by the answer. I'm just going to say this. I was impressed by the answer. So you guys, if you want a chance to win an Agora Pulse t-shirt or mug, you got to answer this question. We've got Keith, he says C, 73%. Jennifer says D, 79%. You guys are on the right kind of wavelength. So I'd like that. So we've got Sarah says B. Also, well, we're in about 12% range of each other. So yeah, so you guys are smart. I'm not going to say anything else because I'm going to give it away if I do. So, and Mike, I'm sure behind the scenes is like, Jen, stop talking. Question number 2, guys. Question number 2. What number of Instagrammers, this is according to Omnicore data, visit at least one business profile daily? So we're talking about Instagram business profile daily. What number of Instagrammers visit at least one business profile daily? Is it A, 50 million, B, 100 million, C, 150, or D, 200 plus? And obviously I can't really give you any hints. But yeah, this is daily, guys. How many people visit a business profile on Instagram daily? Eric, how do you feel about this entire situation?
This situation, that's funny. For me, I would probably say, gosh, visiting profiles in general is something I don't do a lot of. Again, I'm not a usual social media user. I'm very conservative with my numbers there. So I would say I think it's probably not 50. I think more people are clicking and clicking and clicking and jumping from thing to thing and actually visiting profile. Plus, actually, the other thing in Instagram that you got to consider is that often you'll see something in a post and then it'll say link, click link in bio. So they'll click on the profile, takes them over to the page itself, the profile itself, and then they click that link to take them to the right place. And so I think it's probably fairly high.
Ooh, yeah. And Mike says 2A. Mike, I love you. You're awesome. Keith says 2D. Jennifer says, you said C, 100 million. Jennifer, do you mean B, 100 million or C, 150 million? Let me know which your answer you really meant, C or B. So just so I know. Keith really thinks it's a high number. Keith really, really does. So I don't know if you believe Keith or if you believe Mike. Mike says 2A. It's tough. And honestly, I don't go to that many profiles that much on my own. I go through the feed. So that's just my use. And I do actually, like, I'm on there a lot. So yeah. Phyllis says, oh, it's been great hanging with everyone today. We got to give a quick shout out to Phyllis, who our show sponsor. Have a great weekend and go check out the free part of Social Media Manager School. Cheers. Phyllis, you are a rock star. We love you. Thank you so much. Sarah said 2D for link and bio purposes. Yes, that's a great tip. Yes. Oh, you guys are so awesome. I love you guys. So I am going to actually switch back to our main overlay so you can see Eric and I. And I just have to say, this is a wrap of the show. Eric, you were just, oh God, incredible. You were amazing. And so what I really want to bring back up is the Social Media Manager School. So can you just give us a little bit more information? Because I think people, you know, if they first hear of it, they're like, oh, it's a school. Well, I don't know if I have time right now. I don't know. But you can go there now for free and get access, but you just get an account, right? And you can watch it whenever it's convenient for you. Can you explain it a little bit more so we all know?
Yeah, I mean, it is that easy. We've got the free access and then the premium access. Agora Pulse users get premium access if they're on a large or higher plan, but the social media, but we don't ever but want everybody else to miss out. So we've created the free access, which is where we're putting and have been putting Social Pulse Summits sessions, Social Pulse Summit sessions into the free access side of things. And so those are free. You just jump over in there and you can then choose your topic and choose your session and then just go on down through, pick and find one that is the right time length or the right topic and learn from an expert. It's that easy. And we've got, you know, this is something you can do to learn in your downtime.
And I love that. And so you don't have to do it all at once.
No.
Just go there right now. Just check it out, because sometimes if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. But just go to socialmediamanagerschool.com/courses/SMMS. And even just Google Social Media Manager School will take you to there. And you can just see what it's all about. We've got that free tier, and just check it out and do it maybe while you're planning, or if you have a team of people or your boss, be like, go to your boss and be like, you know what? I feel like our entire team could improve a little bit on their social media. Hey, check out this awesome school. How about we all get an account? We all do different learnings and then come together and share them. That's one of my favorite things, because we all are short on time. But when people pick out the most important pieces of different things, it can help everyone out at the same time.
Yeah,
so
some of them are longer than others. And so you could find one that's short and just go through it and say, okay, that's my learning for today or for the week. You got to fit it in when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely check out Social Media Manager School. And then, of course, really quick, you also can try out Agora Pulse. If you're looking for a social media management tool, you can check out Agora Pulse as well. But I just want to say, Eric, you are brilliant. You are so awesome. I've loved doing this. Is our third live of the week so far together. So I have to say, you're amazing. You're so awesome. A big shout out to everyone who joined us today. You are fantastic. Hopefully you'll join us again next week for our wrap-up show. It's our 2020 wrap-up show. It's going to be absolutely awesome and amazing. But with that said, go check out Agora Pulse, grab a free trial. You can grab a free demo. It's just go agorapulse.com, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.